Hey, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend, and let's go ahead and open it up to Q&A. I mean, I can go in and start like doing a little bit of a process, but you've had a few days to process the class that we did over the weekend. Let's ask questions or share experiences, whatever you'd like. Go ahead and unmute yourself or type in.
And if you have a private question, always feel free to send it over to me, Samantha Durfee. And so I can relay those over to Greg. But yeah, let's try to keep it class specific.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to pick a protocol that I like.
Mm-hmm. Looks like it. Go ahead, Peggy.
Hey, Peggy.
That I'm still talking about that thing we did. So can we delve a little more into the three brains and
That's what I was gonna go for.
and play with it some more? And I forgot which oil it was.
Yeah.
So it was a few choices, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for that. And yeah, I want to play.
Another yes to the three brains.
Three brains. Well, that's the one I was going for. So we are on page 6, which is associated with the limbs. And you know, the three brain thing, like I was saying on the weekend, we're going to ease into it because there is some very powerful components to it. One, at some point, we'll go a little bit deeper into the medulla. Like this coming up weekend, we're going much deeper into the vagus nerve, and there's another nerve, but we'll just be tapping into it. But anyway, but it's tied to even some of the body mapping stuff that we're going to be going through and doing here in a bit. And so in this, let's have you pull out, we're going to do the energetic component first. So pull out your Artemisia or your mugwort supreme, whatever you might have. Okay, and begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the navel. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the navel. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. Now move your awareness 1.5 inches below your navel. Your awareness is 1.5 inches below your navel. Your awareness is on your armpits. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your armpits. Your elbows, your awareness is on your elbows. Your wrists, and the palms of your hands. Now you're practicing arm awareness. Your awareness is on your whole arm, from the shoulder all the way down to the fingertips. And then just be still. You're just pausing and letting go. Begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on your hips, the sides of your hips. The knees, the back of the knees. The ankles. Your awareness is on the ankles. And the soles of your feet. Your awareness is on the whole legs, from the hips down to the toes, to the bottom of the feet, to the heels. Your awareness is on the whole legs. Just pause and be still. It might be a little much. Yeah. You can listen, or just do it very lightly. What oil is she using for the next? She using vetiver or hibiscus? Tell her just to inhale vetiver, hibiscus, and jasmine. You're just being still. Now we're going to go to number 2, the regulation of the peripheral nervous system. So single oils, galbanum, roscus, Siberian fir premium, spikenard, valerian, vetiver, aegis, or fir supreme.
Again, we're on page 6, right, of the workbook.
Yeah, about mid-page on page 6. Number 2. Okay, so you've grabbed whichever oil you're using. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the sex chakra, where the sex organs are. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the sex chakra. Just pause and let go for a moment. Your awareness now is on the solar plexus, the front solar. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the front solar. And then pause and let go. Now your awareness is on the brain. Both sides of your brain, the front, the middle, the back, your whole brain. Be aware of as much of your brain as you can. As you're doing this, inhale the oil. Long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still. Just pause and be still. Just let it incubate for a moment. Now, your awareness is on your sixth chakra, your front solar plexus, and your brain at the same time. All three. Just try to get your awareness on all three at once. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And just let it go for a moment. Just let it go. Okay, let's try again. Your brain, your solar plexus, your sex chakra, all three at once. Just try to keep your awareness on all three. So at this point, you can just keep your eyes closed. It's a little bit easier. Eventually, as this practice progresses, you'll be doing it with your eyes open, but at first, eyes closed. Right now, you're just trying to keep your awareness on all three centers. Don't worry about harmonizing them right now. You're just practicing your awareness on all three. And then pause and let go. Again, all three: brain, solar, sex chakra. You're inhaling. You're just getting used to those three spots. And then pause and let them go. Just let them go for a little bit. Okay. Now, we're going to do a little experiment. It's not exactly how it's in the book, right? So the oil that you used for the first part was Artemisia, mugwort, or mugwort supreme. Pull that back out. Okay, so you're inhaling, your awareness is on your sex chakra right now. You're using the Artemisia, the mugwort, or the mugwort supreme. Your awareness is on the sex chakra. Now move your awareness to the solar plexus. Your awareness is on your solar. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the solar plexus. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And your awareness is on the brain. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the brain. Just pause and let go. Your awareness is on the brain, the solar, and the sex at the same time. You're still using the mugwort supreme, or Artemisia. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Okay, be still for a second. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just shake it off for a little bit. You gotta let yourself like kind of acclimate to this a little bit. There's like kind of phases, like, you know, just like even when we started, it's like just be aware of the three places. And then as you become more aware of them, then it's like, okay, now that you're aware of them, you're tapping into them. Now you're trying to harmonize them, you know, balance all three of them. And then, you know, we're not doing this right now, but just like FYI. So what happens is you keep balancing all three of them, Then you start balancing all three, and then you look at a situation. And as you look at the situation, that configuration, your ability to balance all three becomes disorganized a little bit. Like it becomes harder to do because now you're having to focus your awareness on this area where you're getting different kinds of instinctive information from the sex chakra, from the solar, how you feel, and the thoughts in your brain. So then you'll go from situation and then harmonize, situation and harmonize. Then you look at another situation, situation, harmonize, situation, harmonize. So then you start doing all three, right? Then at some point, those three units start functioning like a single unit. It's just like they become this one interactive unit. So it is actually a type of, I would say an active clairvoyance, but at first it just becomes like a kind of intuition. But after a while, it turns into this active kind of clairvoyance. Then there starts to be an even deeper level where you go through and you start activating little things to augment what is happening there. So, you can practice the things that we did in the booklet, and then you can even add this little piece, like this little piece that we did with the mugwort is part of what we'll be doing in the vagus nerve class on the weekend, right? So we'll keep visiting this aspect because we're going to be teaching it for a while. And then things are going to be coming together, like when we have the body mapping and all this, the things that we've been doing with the Sandalphon technique and the Metatron technique and the directions, all those kind of play things that we can play off of, right? And then the things with the colors and the chakras, everything takes it a little bit deeper. Like, so the next class that we're going to do, like here, this is energetic mechanics and the nervous system. The next thing we're going to do is energetic mechanics and the immune system, which it's not these centers with different oils. It's actually different parts of anatomy or action in the body that we're trying to stimulate. So there's going to be these pieces that just keep coming together. So the ones that have been kind of with us for a while, you can see like these pieces are all starting to come together. And even when we're presenting some of the information, some of the classes, we'll give more like kind of, like I hate to bog you down with clinical stuff, but I still want to give you a little bit of clinical stuff, but also esoteric kind of information. And so I would say like when all these things start to kind of come together for me, it was a game changer. There was the Greg before I did this stuff, like all these things that we've been talking about with like the chakras and the colors and these things that we've been going down the road. There was the Greg before all that stuff, and then there was the Greg after that. And like a lot of times around here refer to the Greg before all of it as my past life. Like it is like that Greg was a little bit of a mess, like not totally, but it was like an old car. Things just always needed to be fixed. You know what I mean? And the more that you step into this, the more things get resolved in ways that your mind really couldn't even comprehend. Because really what you're doing is you're harmonizing with all these different things, because there's different stages of healing. There's different stages of development, spiritual development or evolution. One is you go through and you start doing purification, right? You get rid of the contamination and the stuff from other people. You get rid of the stuff that happened to you, the traumas and things like that, just the stresses. Then there starts to be transmutation, right? Then there starts to be harmonizing of conflicts and opposites. And then there's still other pieces that happen. And if you've been doing the classes, you're tapping into all of these things. I just haven't always given it those explanations. But we're following a formula that is very, very old. It's a mystical formula that's been around since ancient times. right? And so this is a big piece. This is, even if you're not into all that other stuff, I used to just teach this piece to people in the corporate setting. And I mean, people would start to dominate their field. Like they would start to be just the guy to go to or the girl to go to in the business, or they started to be a real dominant factor in the industry. And it was always, as soon as we taught them this, they'd practice it for a while. I'd do healings on them for it for a while, and then they would just begin to like take over. Like, you know, they would just start to like unfold, you could say. So with that, let's go ahead, and we have a few minutes still. Let's answer a few questions, or if you want to share experiences. Sorry, I get a little worked up about it because I'm super excited about this. I think I'm probably more excited than everybody else, but I never in 1,000 years thought I was going to get to teach this. I thought, I'll teach it to a handful of people. Teaching it in a group level, like my mind is blown. You know, it's all because of the pandemic. You know, we would never been able to cover information. And for us, you know, because the classes aren't just information, we're kind of doing healings, you know, where we're learning information, but there's like a healing process that's happening. And never in a million years did I think we'd be able to go there. You know, but the pandemic happened, and you know, we Zoom and we do all these things, and you know.
And go ahead, Barbara, then Peggy.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey there.
Hey.
Two questions and a comment. First question is, when are you doing Sandalphon technique again?
You know, we were kicking. It's funny. Like, have you been talking to Samantha? We were kicking it around to even do it in like August or September, but we might do it just a little bit later. Just because you know all the stuff that's in that kit. We kind of had an employee that was helping us. She's not with us anymore, but when we were doing that class in that kit, it kind of almost broke her. Like it was like, it's such a hard kit to put together that she didn't have a meltdown, but she got close. And so we need to strategically think out and not just try to do the kit in like a couple of weeks. So we're kind of starting to grind on putting the kit together. And, you know, a lot of you already have the kit, but still to even put together like another 10 or 15 or 20, whatever, it's a bit of work. And so we're working on it. It's probably going to be October-ish, maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The comment is, personally, I love the clinical stuff woven in. And the other question is, or feedback is, during part of that, it felt like my ajna and my forehead were taking turns hijacking me trying to have awareness on the whole brain.
That could be. That could actually be a couple of things. So you're kind of potentially going back and forth where you're being aware, and so that's a little bit of a forehead activity, and the forehead is a little bit more associated with the brain as well. And as you go through and you do these three brain, part of what happens is the forehead and back head become very activated. But then you have the ajna, and the ajna being the center between the eyebrows, it's regulating a lot of the chakras, right? Like, so it's synchronizing and sequencing the energy body and helping there to be like an integration and a shift. But part of what happens, like especially in active clairvoyance, the forehead and the back head get a bit activated, but then at some point the ajna will start getting activated, and then the ajna and the forehead kind of come together, and they almost, like if you look at it from the side, it almost looks like a horn, like a thing sticking out. And in the old days, that's what they would refer to as a unicorn. Like it wasn't some animal like a horse with a horn on their head. It was a person that had developed this active clairvoyance, and those things merged, and it's a way of piercing into things and getting a lot of information by using this like cone of light that comes out of the head.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So should I just let it roll however it plays out, or try to bring
I
my
would let
awareness
it-
back to the
you-
whole brain?
You could let it roll. The other thing that you could do is put your awareness on that medulla area. Like when you're feeling it happen, just put your awareness on the medulla area, and it will actually accelerate the forming of the two combining.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some of the things that we've talked about in the past, classes that we've done in the past, will come into play into that at some point, but it's still just a little too early. But it's getting close. Like I'm getting giggly about it. It's getting so close. Yeah.
It's fun seeing you get giggly.
Yeah. I'm so excited about this, by the way. I'm so excited. Yeah.
And then go ahead, Peggy, then Robert.
Hey, Peggy.
This is just, okay, so I told you Sunday I came to a huge epiphany
Mhm.
and put it into action, and it looks like it was exactly perfect. So let's all set our intention that it works. But I never would have thought of it without
Oh,
that.
good.
I
Yeah.
never. So the little question of tonight is, what does going from the spikenard or whatever back to the Artemisia do?
Very good question. So you know the first oils that I have you using, they're more about calming down any potential agitation in those three centers. You know, because you're doing a practice that is activating of those, and if they're agitated, we don't want to like agitate them more. You know what I mean? Like say the sex chakra is fine, the brain is fine, but the solar plexus is all over the place. You start aligning those, and you're just always wrestling with the solar plexus, you know. And the sex chakra, it's not about sex, it's about like perceiving information from the collective, from social interactions, you know, from the environment, you know, people, the environment, whatever it is. And so a lot of times if that's overactivated, you just, you know, that's the part that like when we get triggered, that's what that is. It's the sex chakra activating the Ming Men, and you're getting triggered to the things in the environment. And so by doing those first set of oils, you're just kind of calming them down so they become easier to balance, right? Then when you start doing the mugwort kind of expands wherever you direct it. Mugwort opens up the channels and increases like the energy flow in those areas. So now that you've kind of calmed those down, you're starting to expand the sex chakra, expand the solar, expand the brain, and it starts to get a little bit easier to harmonize them because they're more active, but they're more active so they'll generate more information to the brain. So there's still even stronger versions of it, but it's good to kind of do them in steps so that it's stable. It's not that it's unstable sometimes, it's just it can be a little bit, it just makes you a little uncomfortable if things aren't like properly prepped. Like you might feel it in the navel, you might feel it in the Ming Men, you might, you know, feel it somewhere else. But if you kind of go through the steps, it just allows things to unfold naturally. They're still going very fast, but it allows them to unfold like naturally.
So do one round of the
For a while. Like
Like-
at some point you can let the first thing go. Like, but for a little bit, I'd still do the one that's in the book, and then you could start doing the thing with the mugwort, and then there's still another little piece that we'll add after that doesn't even involve oils. And then we'll start using oils that make it even stronger.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is so exciting. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Good.
And then go ahead, Robert, then Kathy.
Hey, Robert.
Good evening, Greg. First comment, I love when there's giggly Greg on here. You can just tell there, and it's all the time you have that upbeat kind of, oh, this is good stuff. But when you're giggly, oh my God, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
so after doing the class this weekend, I had a client today, not normally a difficult client, but I went into the healing session with her, and all these discussions evolved that I have no idea where they came from, other than this harmonizing.
You go much deeper in the healings. Like, when you start working with clients, I mean, it's like I was saying, like in the corporate world, they were going deeper into whatever the industry is. Like if it was engineering, they were going deeper into the details. If it was IT, they'd go deeper in that. If it was sales, they'd come up with new approaches. Like it was just, I didn't do a lot with people who did sales, but things of that nature. And so for a healer, like you have more insight, and the more that you tap into in the session, the more it kind of brings up, the deeper the healing can be. And it could also be physical. Like say you're dealing with somebody with arthritis in the knee or something, and you're going through and you're doing the treatments, but then you're doing treatment with that same condition, and you've been doing this for a while. You're like, okay, we have the things here, but then there's this neurological thing, there's this thing with lower emotions, how's the sleep going? Like you start pulling in other contributing factors that you wouldn't normally, because you would just usually focus on the condition. It's like it becomes like three-dimensional, like you start seeing things in very different ways. And like you said, either the physical stuff comes up, or you start having these really insightful conversations with the person. Like they're sharing, you have insight, they're sharing again, and you go, ah. And so what that is higher creativity. Like you're literally like kind of channeling a kind of energy coming through that's going deep within them. And then you also have these responses that are coming out that you didn't sit and study for, you didn't think about. Like,
No.
you just go, oh, I have insight for this. Didn't
And
know we were
it
going
was-
to talk about this, but
It was an interesting flow that developed, an awareness of things she wasn't saying,
Mhm.
and saying those things to her, and she goes, oh yeah, that's right. And
Mhm.
then this was a topic that she's repressed for 22 years.
right.
And
right.
like we made more progress in 45 minutes than in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
It just
Isn't
flowed
it
out.
amazing?
Yeah,
It's
it was
amazing.
totally amazing. And
Yeah.
the human is watching all of this going on and like, how
Yeah.
did this happen? What's going
Yeah.
So this explains a lot when I go back through it tonight.
Yeah.
And so the human me wants to ask a question about sort of the process. Is it really important to do the limb work before doing
At some point, even that can diminish a little bit. Like at first, especially, it's kind of like a built-in like safety mechanism. The cleaning up of the limbs is really helping you to be more present with the information coming in. But once it kind of turns on, a lot of times the limbs are just like, okay, I've done this for a while, I should clean up. Or, there's times where I don't even do it for a while, like maybe a couple of weeks or something. But this 3 brain thing, I do it every day. Like, I mean, I literally, because like just insight with what you're talking about is like, okay, you're getting ready to do the healing with the person. You know, one of the things you could do is like you start off the day, you balance all three and you go, okay, person XYZ is getting ready to come in. You think of that person, you think of the past or the condition that they're talking about, and then you go, okay, balance all three, like harmonize all three. And then I'm going to see the next person and they have a completely different set of things. And then you said, and you think about it, and you go, okay, as I think about them, harmonize all three. And so what happens over a period of time is here it's in the beginning, but later it turns out to be more at the end. And it's just to clean off because you've gotten so much insight that you have to kind of displace some of the, it's like the old elementals. It's really elementals is what you're shedding. You're just shedding some of the old elementals that was tied to those old thought processes. Like as you have insight, you're just cleaning off the old debris, like you're clearing out the broken up forms of what used to be your thought processes, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when we were doing this tonight, you said to keep our eyes closed because it's easier. But I found myself sitting there with my eyes open. And it
If you
felt
can, if
really
you can do it at
comfortable.
this point, yeah, I mean, at some point that is what happens.
Okay, it was
And
just like
so-
normal.
Yeah. But at first, like when you know, because you're doing something that's like internal and it's you're really needing to be aware of it for a little while. And then after a while, you get used to it, like you develop a kind of muscle memory. And so at that point, you can open your eyes. But it's hard to have your eyes open and then be super aware of what's going on internally. And so, you know, you might have your eyes open most of the time, but then say you have a really difficult client and you're like, man, I'm just not getting it. You might want to go back, close your eyes, think of the person, balance it out, and then go back to opening your eyes again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then sort of a related question to the one of why we use Mugwort Supreme to do the three brains again. There's several oils listed here in the booklet, the galbanum through Fir Supreme.
Mhm.
And I know they do calming, and Fir Supreme is probably the best of all of those. Are there subtle differences between them?
They're all agitation oriented. And then like when you're calming down the agitation and you feel kind of okay with it, then the mugwort would be the next phase, the next step.
Okay.
Like in the Vegas Nerve class, we're doing the mugwort thing like kind of early on. Like, you know, we're not even trying to calm everything down. We're going to do it like kind of the next phase. And so this you know, galbanum will kind of register for some people a little bit more, vetiver and rus couscous, a little bit more grounding if somebody's not as grounded. Spikenard, valerian, just if somebody gets really expanded and then needs to like restore their balance, the vetiver and spikenard, or excuse me, the vetiver and rus couscous will do it, but spikenard and valerian are a little bit better at it. The Fir Supreme, very fortifying to the systems, and it's very activating to the heart. And so what happens over a period of time when you're doing this, it becomes very activating to the heart. And so you're kind of fortifying the heart so that if it starts to release things, then it becomes easier and more stable as it happens. It's not that the heart, when it expels, it's unstable. It's just, I don't know. I like it to come out as fast as it can. You know what I mean? And then the Aegis just helps to hit like any sort of protective kind of mechanisms that could potentially, you know, you might start doing it and there's a little part of you that are like, I don't know about that, like this is too much change, and the Aegis kind of helps calm that down a little bit.
So it could actually be useful for someone who's, say, a healer and uses the three brains and what they do to go through each of these oils.
Yeah, you could. Like I would say at first you can do it, but then after a while you just wear them. You don't even have to run through the process. You know, you kind of work it for a little bit, and then after that you're like, I mean, there's a reason why, you know, I'm always telling people galbanum, galbanum, galbanum,
Yes.
galbanum, galbanum. Like you can kind of see, like as we're coming into this, those are oils that we use a lot of times. Like it's been like a slow roll of preparing things for this. So you were always kind of calming down agitation and everything, because when that agitation calms down, there can be this greater level of activity that comes about. And so
I
at some
think
point,
it's-
just wearing them is
Okay.
good. I mean,
I think of
this is even tied to like doing the vetiver at the base of the skull, and it was all, it does things that we talked about, but on a deeper level, we were going, yeah, we want to calm all these things down, because just it makes us feel better. It helps resolve some health issues, some emotional, mental thing, whatever it is. But also we're working to stimulating the mind in a different way, and we just want everything in order.
Okay. Thank you very much.